Going on, everybody? It's Key Time coming back with another one to talk about my reaction from game one of the NBA Finals last night. One thing I can tell you, I didn't expect that avalanche. I expected Boston to win game one, but I didn't expect this avalanche. You see it. Last night they were 16 of 42 from the 3-point line, the Boston Celtics. Also, when I saw the box score, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown didn't have a good game. So if the Dallas Mavericks had a chance to win game one or game two, last night was the right game for them to win game one. When you look at it, you see Jason Tatum just had 16 points, didn't really have an impact in the game. Jaylen Brown didn't have an impact in the game. And I'm going to show you that it was just balanced scoring from the Boston Celtics. I'm going to give you the players' points last night. Al Horford had 10 points. Jason Tatum had 16 points. Jaylen Brown had 22 points. Derek White had 15 points. Drew Holiday had 12 points. Kristaps Porzingis, he was mainly the player that had the biggest impact on the game last night. In 11 minutes, he had 14 points. For the game, he had 20 points and 6 rebounds. So, when you look at all of this and you see it was just balanced scoring from the Boston Celtics last night. Now, when I see a team like this, everybody scoring the same amount of points, it's really hard for them to get beat at home. Now, Boston, dominant. They've been the dominant team all season, was projected to get here. Now, they get here, they take care of home court. Game two is Sunday, but there are some things that the Celtics need to work on. Mainly, it was a 5-minute stretch where they took nothing but threes and didn't make a shot. So if I'm the coach, Joe Mazzulla, I'm calling timeout, telling my players, hey, the threes are not going in. Go in the paint. I'm going to tell y'all how many points they had in the paint last night. They only had 34 points in the paint. Now, for their season average, they usually average 50 points in the paint. But that's where them threes get you. Now, even though they was able to outscore Dallas from the 3-point line, will they be able to continue to do that in this series? It remains to be seen. So I'm gonna go on to the Dallas Mavericks, and basically Dallas Mavericks last night. I'ma just tell you, America, they didn't have a good job. Nobody did a good job. I know Luka had 30 points, but he didn't score with the same efficiency that he has throughout these playoffs. Kyrie Irving, I was expecting him to get everybody else in the game, but he only had 12 points, 0 of 7 from the 3-point line. And also, Daniel Gafford, he only had 8 points. Now, what I'm about to tell y'all, this is going to be critical for the Dallas Mavericks to win the series. PJ Washington, Derek Jones Jr., and also Daniel Gafford are going to have big games in this series in order for the Dallas Mavericks to win. Because from what I saw last night, it was nothing. Derek Jones Jr. had 14 points, but it really came in garbage time. And not to mention that they had the lead, and it was just they had the lead in the first quarter. They were up by 2. It was 15-13. And then after that, it was just an avalanche. It was a 23-5 run in the last 5 minutes of the first quarter, and it was basically over from there. Now, Luka, Kyrie, they said in the press conference that hey, the team didn't have a good game, which that's understandable. But it's the NBA Finals. You got to have a good game every game, whether it results in a win and a loss. Now, I noticed that when it comes to Dallas, they filled out their bench and stuff, cleared out their bench, and Jaden Hardy, he had 13 points. Most of you might not know who Jaden Hardy is. He's a bench warmer and gave the Dallas Mavericks some good minutes because at the 8 minute mark of the fourth quarter, they were down by 25. So Jason Kidd said that he just wanted to get everybody else that was on the bench some playing time and get his starters ready for game two. So now, after an avalanche like this, what can they do? What can the Dallas Mavericks do in game two to get better and even up this series? Well, I'm going to tell you what they can do is they were up by 15 to 13. Everything was going to their pace. And then all of a sudden, they had turnovers after turnovers and defensive lapses. Now, you can't have defensive lapses against one of the best teams in the NBA. You can't have that. So for game two, everybody's got to be on their P's and Q's, A's, B's, and C's. They got to bring their A game. Because if they go down 2-0, it's not going to look too good for the Dallas Mavericks heading back to Dallas down 2-0. You got to win game two to even this series up because for the most part last night, this looked like a mismatch. It looked like a matchup on paper early in the day. And then after the game, it looked like a mismatch. But it's all game one. I don't take too much from game one. But about time game two come, we should be able to see what players are here that will come consistently and give you a night in and night out basis as far as points per game and stuff, because we know that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown ain't gonna have this type of game no more. Ain't gonna have 22 points and 16 points. No, they gonna have a much bigger game because what helped them out last night is that 29-point lead in the first half. That helped them out, and Dallas, they was just going uphill after that. So Kyrie is going to have a bounce back game in game two. Luka, we already know he might score another 30 in game two. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown said that they played okay last night, but they can do better. So you got mano y mano as far as right now. Game two is Sunday, and we are in for a good series. But as far as right now, this series is just a game one, and don't take much from game one. And on top of that, this is just all of a sudden, this is not a mismatch. No matter what you saw on game one last night, this is not a mismatch. This is a matchup because Luka and Kyrie, they gonna get a couple of games in this series, but they still gonna be able to make this series competitive because last night it was a mismatch, and I still got Boston in 7 games. America, you don't deny the fact that the Celtics have the upper hand in this series. The Celtics have the upper hand. They have the better bench in this series, and you've seen that from last night. There was a point in time in this game where the Boston Celtics, they were a plus 36 from the three-point line. Not to mention that they got to the free throw line the same amount of times that Dallas did and also made the same amount of points. But I'm going to tell you what made the Boston Celtics win this game is defense and offensive rebounds and total rebounds. They got out rebounded in all statistical categories. Total rebounds, 47, offensive rebounds, 10, and also defensive rebounds, 37. So they boxing out people, and also as far as turnovers, that really cost Dallas late in the game. But it was basically 29-point game at the end of the fourth quarter. Dallas got it down to 8, and then all of a sudden, Boston went back and forth, and it was just like bam, 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 and then all of a sudden they were back up 19. So Jason Kidd, you need to come up with a different strategy for game 2, and basically you need another strategy for this series because we all know that I'm going to tell y'all who is a liability on Dallas now. For Dallas, Max Kellerman is a liability. Jaden Hardy is a liability. Tim Hardaway Jr., man, you supposed to be averaging 15 to 20 points a game, and you didn't do nothing last night. You had 8 minutes last night, and you didn't have the ball in your hand, and you didn't have a play ran for you. So what Jason Kidd has to do, Josh Green, you can't give him 20 minutes and he just have 3 points. Also, Max Kellerman, you can't give Max Kellerman 19 minutes and only have 2 points. Jaden Hardy, I'm not going to say too much about him because he's a bench player and it was a blowout. But everybody on the Dallas Mavericks, they have to play better or else this series will be a sweep. I expect a much tighter game in game 2. And with that, that is my reaction from the NBA Finals, 2024 NBA Finals game 1 between the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, click the notification bell to get notified of all of my content, reaction videos, and shows. So now we wait for game 2. And remember, the key is always on time.